It appears, ladies and gentlemen, as though Donald Trump has been given some new answers to make excuses for this Epstein Files scandal, whatever you'd like to call it, and he continues to do so. And what we are going to do is we are going to play for you some audio from this press conference that took place earlier today. So, first, Donald Trump blames the Epstein Files on a hoax. Then he says it's fake news and it's the deep state. And now he's been saying it's planted. Remember when he blamed Barack Obama and Joe Biden? Well, now he's moved on to a few other people. James Comey and Merrick Garland. Yes, that's right. Donald Trump is blaming them now for the Epstein Files. Have a listen to this.
Mr. President, you have said that you have not been briefed on the Epstein Files, or your name has not appeared in the Epstein Files. But doesn't the AG have to tell you if your name is...
Well, I haven't been overly interested in it. You know, it's a hoax that's been built up way beyond proportion. I can say this, those files were run by the worst scum on earth. They were run by Comey, they were run by Garland, they were run by Biden and all of the people that actually ran the government, including the auto pen. Those files were run for 4 years by those people. If they had anything, I assume they would have released it. The whole thing is a hoax. They ran the files. I was running against somebody that ran the files. If they had something, they would have released. Now, they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. Like, as an example, Christopher Steele, a person you know well, happens to be from your country. But Christopher Steele, as an example, wrote a book, a dossier. We call it the fake news dossier. And the whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They can put things in the file that are fake. But those files were run by bad, sick people. If they had anything, why didn't they use it when I was killing Joe and then he gave out because he was 25 points down? And then I got somebody new. Nobody even knew anything about her. She was a horrible vice president. She was a border czar, but she never went to the border. She never once called a border patrol agent to find out how we're doing. But she was the border czar. Her name was Kamala. Nobody knows her last name. It was Harris. But nobody
about. What a bumbling idiot. What does he talk? He blames Joe Biden. He blames James Comey. He blames Merrick Garland. He blames Barack Obama. He blames it on the deep state. He starts talking about the dossier. What is this guy talking about? As if they just put his name in the Epstein Files. It was investigated by Republicans and Democrats, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, lefties and righties. If somebody told them to, like if Joe Biden said, hey, I really don't like this guy, Donald Trump, can you do me a favor? Can you put his name in the Epstein Files? I mean, that's really what Donald Trump is saying. It's so absurd, it's ridiculous. But ladies and gentlemen, it gets worse. Now, I mentioned the word privilege. For example, okay, I'm privileged to be able to go on the radio every day. I do think at times being white in the United States of America, you have something called white privilege. Now, I don't think that's a good thing, but you understand where the word comes from. I find it to be a privilege to hang out with my niece and my parents, in Las Vegas. That's a privilege to hang out with my family. I find it to be somewhat of a privilege to meet some of these famous people that I grew up with. You get the point, right? That's how the word privilege is used. Donald Trump uses the word privilege in a very different manner this morning, and I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with Epstein Island. Have a listen to this.
That was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
What a privilege to go to an island where there are a bunch of child molesters raping kids. What a privilege. What What person would use that type of language? I mean, it's unbelievable. Even for Trump standards, it's unbelievable. As the Ottawa Guy 40 on the YouTube Super Chat says, Trump knee pad wearing Blanche meets with Maxwell. She promises to minimize the Trump-Epstein association. Trump pardons her. Obvious game plan. Yeah, I agree with you. And if it's not a pardon, it certainly will be commuting the sentence. There's no question about that. It's a privilege, right? It's a privilege to let pedophiles out on the streets. It's a privilege because that's the way a normal person would use that word. Oh, my God. Now, we've been hearing from MAGA for years now that the reason why Donald Trump supposedly disassociated himself with Jeffrey Epstein was because he didn't want to be associated with a pedophile, even though Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, has done this show multiple times and said that's not true. It was Jeffrey Epstein that disassociated himself with Trump. But regardless, apparently Donald Trump is admitting now if he did disassociate himself from Epstein, it had nothing to do with the fact that Epstein is a pedophile, and it had to do with the fact that he hired help and said he never wanted to do that again, something about hiring people. It had nothing to do with him being a predator. Listen to this.
People keep writing stories about the time you threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. Can you settle that? What was it about? What caused the breach with him?
That's such old history, very easy to explain, but I don't want to waste your time by explaining it. But for years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help, and I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth.
So let me get this right. The reason why Donald Trump stopped talking to Jeffrey Epstein, I'm laughing at this because it's so ridiculous. The reason why Donald Trump stopped speaking with Jeffrey Epstein, because apparently he was poaching staff from him. Had nothing to do with the fact that he was raping children. Very interesting. You know, this is one of my favorite characteristics of these Trump defenders, right? They've defended Trump for years, and they've made the case over and over and over again that he cut off Epstein when he found out about the child abuse. And then Donald Trump throws all of them under the bus this morning and says because he stole people who worked for him. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. It's really unbelievable.